Skinner Auto in Richfield Springs and Turnbull Insurance Service since 1866 present Mohawk Valley Living, exploring the arts, culture, and heritage of our region. Happy Memorial Day! We hope you find time to enjoy one of the many parades going on this weekend.
Good morning and welcome to Mohawk Valley Living. Here it is Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day has always been my favorite holiday going back many, many years because it marked the end of winter, the beginning of summer, and usually when I was a child, the first picnic of the year. Everything about Memorial Day was pleasant. One of my favorite parts when I was a child and now when I have grandchildren is the parades because they're so patriotic and all-American, and they represent something so important in this country, remembering those who gave their lives for this country.
Back in 1945, Skinner Auto began as a small dealership on the corner of Routes 20 and 28 in Richfield Springs. Today, Hiram Skinner is proud to have his son Roger at the helm, continuing the tradition of service to the customer and the community. In 1866, James B. Turnbull walked to farms and villages to visit his customers, earning their trust. Today, the fourth generation of Turnbulls continue that dedication, tailoring a life insurance plan to suit your unique needs and priorities. Turn to the company that is out there to earn your trust. Turn to Turnbull. Visit North Star Orchards for your spring planting. You can grow what North Star grows, from a variety of fruit trees to blueberry bushes. The greenhouses are overflowing with the area's largest variety of annuals, herbs, vegetable plants, and hanging baskets at North Star Orchards in Westmoreland. Tom's Natural Foods is your connection to local farms for natural and organic fruits and vegetables, meats, eggs, cheeses, and other milk products at Tom's Natural Foods in Clinton, naturally. Why do contractors and do-it-yourselfers shop Lincoln Davies? It's the superior grade lumber, the value for the money, the 140 years and 6 generations of customer service. Since 1872, Lincoln Davies has delivered superior lumber, value, and service, and they're not about to change things now. Celebrating 140 years at the same location, just 10 minutes south of New Hartford on Summit Road between Routes 12 and 8. Lincoln Davies, building them like they used to. Chester's greenhouses are bursting with color. You'll find great buys on annuals, perennials, and vegetable plants. Visit Chester's on York Street in Utica, open every day in May. On display at the Arkell Museum, the works of E. Mark Adams and Beth Van Hosen. Adams hailed from Fort Plain, and the couple were well-known masters of their craft. Mother's Day is Family Day with free admission for mothers and grandmothers at the Arkell Museum at Canajoharie. Visit the exhibits at the Oneida Community Mansion House. On display, the braidings of Jessie Catherine Kinsley, the needlework of the Oneida Community Women, and Lady Hamilton tableware. Tour the exhibits and the gardens at the Oneida Community Mansion House in Oneida. It's surprising when you detour off Route 46 north of Rome to find the quaint little village of Westernville. There are so many beautiful historic homes in such a small area. You can't help but think about the families who originally settled here. General William Floyd would certainly recognize his home, beautifully maintained by the Marriotts.
People started settling in this area about 1790, and the date was primarily because of everything had settled down after the Revolution in the Mohawk Valley. So they came here looking for land, and they came here looking for new adventure, the Fort Stanwix was the outpost. Everything else was wilderness above that. But the land was very, very fertile, and so they started settling up the Mohawk River north of Fort Stanwix. The heyday pretty much coincided with the Black River Canal coming through. The people anticipated that. They had news that there was going to be a great event going to happen in town, and that was the Black River Canal. So in anticipation to that, they decided to invest in their houses. They invested in businesses. And then during the canal heyday, of course, farmers were able to take their product, get them to market. They were able to welcome visitors here and feed them and entertain them. And so it was quite a prosperous time. In fact, Northwestern was actually more prosperous than Westernville at that time. We consider ourselves caretakers just for a brief time in history. This house, if it's properly cared for, will will be passed for generations and generations, as people have done before us. We're the 10th owner of the house since the General was here. And it's on the national, it's a National Historic Landmark, which puts it among 2,300 structures across the United States. And so it's a special responsibility for us, and we're actually taking the house, we've been here 30 years, and we're taking the house back to the original time the General was here, including paint colors and in the way we're restoring it with the plaster and so on.
I lack conviction in my
Across the road from the General William Floyd homestead is what was the site of a blacksmith shop. Fortunately for all of us, there's going to be a museum here in the future as envisioned by and as created by Dr. Marriott. The interior will house artifacts from the Revolutionary War period and from General Floyd.
Money never took us far.
When you take your detour off of Route 46 and drive into Westernville, drive over to the library and pick up the tour book of the village of Westernville, and you'll find out that it is divided into the upper village and the lower village. I am presently standing in front of the lower village, and notice as you walk along, it's better to walk than to drive. Notice as you walk around all of the beautiful porches. They were designed by Frank Warkup, who lived in the house that's behind me. And as interesting as the fact that he did all these porches is the fact that his daughter lived in this house behind me for 90 years. If you keep going along this street behind me, across Route 46, you'll come to Woods Valley Ski Area, and you'll be going along George Street. Now, usually you would think that's because it was named after somebody by the name of Mr. George. That's not the case here in Westernville. It's because on this tiny little street, there were 3 men who lived, all of whom had the first name of George.
It must have been Wash Loomis's ghost.
I'm standing on the banks of the Mohawk River. It was the lifeblood of many, many villages in the Mohawk Valley, but it was also the death of one of the villages. And I'm talking, of course, about Delta, because when it came time to supply water to the Erie Canal, a dam had to be built, and it was built down in Delta, and the entire village had to be moved, and the area was flooded. Can you imagine what it would have been like back then to be told that you had to have your entire house picked up and moved? But that happened right here near the town of Western. At the end of Main Street here in Westernville, there used to be the Wager House. When Lake Delta was created, the line was drawn, and the Wagers were told that their house was going to be inside the line, so it was destroyed. As it turned out, though, the water did not come up that far, so had they stayed, they could have had a very beautiful lakeside house, but that wasn't meant to be. Today, though, you can still find parts of it here in Westernville because there were some salvaged parts to the house, which became a part of the only house which I'm standing in front of.
There's a barn that once held horses that
I'm across the street from the Yellow General Store here in what's called downtown Westernville. Behind me is the Milton Brayton House, and this house has been continuously occupied by members of that family for 170 years. Talk about family history. If you're a skier and you come here to Woods Valley in Western, you will see a tall smokestack, the one that's behind me. Now that smokestack originally belonged to a tannery, but in 1880 it converted from a tannery to a cannery. We'll find out more about that in a second.
The brick chimney at the base of Woods Valley Hill is all that remains of the original Olney and Floyd Canning Company that operated in the late 1800s. Today, G.J. Olney Incorporated operates on the same site as the original cannery.
I'm in the offices of G.J. Olney Incorporated, and it's really very much like a museum because you look behind me and on the wall are these labels that were the covering for cans. I guess back then they were the billboards of advertising, and they gave you an idea very colorfully and very artfully of what was inside all the cans. At this time of the year, many of you are getting out your cans to make pumpkin pies and the like for Thanksgiving, and this takes me back again, into the 1940s, because these were cans from the 1940s. And I can remember my grandmother and my mother opening these cans without the benefit of an electric can opener. And they would be making their pumpkin pies. This was golden pumpkin. Then there was a thing that I hated the most, garden spinach. But the one that I loved the most, the creamed corn. The Olneys are no longer in the canning business, but they are still in food processing. As a matter of fact, when we visited George's Farm Products late in the summer, you saw a machine that was cleaning green beans. That was manufactured here. And odds are, when you pick up something this Thanksgiving, it will have gone through a machine made right here in Westernville by the Olneys.
Westernville is a good place to live. We always grew up in Westernville and loved the area, and after we all graduated from college, this is where we came back to.
We say goodbye to Westernville for now and encourage you to take the detour the next time you're driving up Route 46. The automobile has gone through many changes through the years, but the Turnbull family's commitment to local drivers has not. Researching and selecting the best coverage for you with unparalleled service, claims handling, and settlement. Turn to a local company with 4 generations of knowledge and experience. Turn to Turnbull. Experience our nation's proud history during the Town of Western Heritage Days. Fireworks Friday night are followed by 2 days of colonial encampments, crafts, games, period music, food, and more. Admission is free to the Town of Western Heritage Days, June 1st through 3rd.
Hi, Dr. Tom. Bringing your cat to the Paris Hill Cat Hospitals on Sundays is a part of Mohawk Valley living. Come inside and see why.
Paris Hill Cat Hospital, this is Lindsay. How can I help you? Your cat is losing weight and you need an appointment, and you're only available on the weekend. Sure, I have an appointment Sunday with Dr. Karen. Does that fit into your schedule? Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you.
We're open 7 days a week because we know that your cat can become ill anytime. The Paris Hill Cat Hospital, quality care for your cats and kittens.
Taste the homemade difference at Maria's Pasta Shop. Homemade lasagna, manigot, stuffed shells, ravioli, and more. Ready-made dinners, make it home, and party trays at Maria's Pasta Shop, Oneida Street in Utica. When you shop Meelan's Market, you'll be the grill master. That's because every hot dog, beef patty, and sausage is made by Bob Meelan himself. Find everything for your next cookout, from store-made meats to fresh salads and tabbouleh, at Meelan's Market at the Four Corners in Clark Mills. For the most unique shopping experience, visit the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Over 40 local vendors, all under one roof. Antique lovers can spend hours perusing thousands of ever-changing antiques and collectibles. Upstairs at the shops, you'll find something for everyone. Handmade crafts, jewelry and clothing, fine art, food and kitchen gadgets, books, and home furnishings. Shop local at the Little Falls Antique Center and the shops at 25 West. Always worth the drive. At Canal Place in Little Falls. Savor the flavor of authentic Southeast Asian cuisine at the Lotus Garden Noodle and Sushi House. The Pooh family welcomes you to lunch or dinner at the Lotus Garden, 339 Bleecker Street in downtown Utica. It's time for the Skinner Auto Group road trip, and we're heading down into leatherstocking country. On our way, we stop by our sponsor, Skinner Auto in Richfield Springs. Dan LaBarge takes Richard on a tour of some of their late winter clearance vehicles that are priced to move. This week we head to the heart of Otsego County, the town of Hartwick. It is named for the Lutheran minister who bought the land with the vision to build a new Jerusalem. To learn more, we visit the Kinney Memorial Library, which is also home to the Hartwick Historical Society.
We are in the Kinney Memorial Library on Main Street, and it has an incredibly homey feeling to it. And that's because it was a home. It was a home originally to the Kinney brothers, who donated it to the town. When we arrived here, we were presented with a gift from the Palmer Garlic Farm, and so we have a basket filled with different things made with garlic, and I'm told that one of them is a garlic chocolate cookie. Smells like garlic. Got to try it.
All right. Can you taste garlic?
That's amazing.
Can you taste garlic?
I can taste garlic, but
okay?
it's good. It's very
really?
good. Yeah, I can take a whole bag of these. Thank you.
John Christopher Hartwick came and settled here with a patent in about the 1800s, and he settled with, he was a minister, so he set up his town, and there's a legend that kind of goes with this, with Cooperstown, with James Fenimore Cooper. Whether it's a tale or a legend, they both wanted their towns to be the county seat. Well, the legend goes that James Fenimore Cooper got John Christopher Hartwick kind of tipsy, so when the morning came to get on their horses and go to Albany, he had a rough time getting up to go there, so guess who won? So he just settled here. He was a minister, the Lutheran minister at the college over in Hartwick Seminary, which has now moved to Oneonta, where they have the actual college. And it's just, that's where we got our name, was Hartwick, from John Christopher Hartwick. Well, it was mostly a farming area. A lot of businesses, as you see in the pictures that we had. A lot of stores, a lot of hotels, and the big thing was the trolley. That's what drew a lot of the businesses, because they had a way to get their products to and from areas. They'd bring their milk or they'd ship off stuff to other areas through the trolley. So that's how it got its big business time. But when the trolleys went away, it seemed that everything kind of started dying out again.
In 1901, the trolley line connected Hartwick to Oneonta, and soon after to Cooperstown, Richfield Springs, and Mohawk. Because of the village's central location on the line, Hartwick experienced a business boom. Hotels and markets sprang up to cater to the passengers spilling into the depot. Today, the former trolley depot is still serving tourists to the region as the new home to the Cooperstown Bat Company. Here they manufacture custom baseball bats that can be engraved and personalized for baseball teams or individual special occasions. Each bat is unique and is an actual usable baseball bat. The bats start out as a rough split of hard wood and is turned on a lathe and hand sanded until smooth.
Whether fate or destiny or plans from somewhere above, certain people were bound to meet to share a little bit of their love. For a day, a week, a year, or sometimes maybe more. Little bit of love can make this life mean so much more.
The community center was originally the office and general warehouse for the trolley. It was back farther originally, and then it was moved to where it is today by men, horses, oxen, I'm told, to get it from where it was to where it is today. Later, it was used as a theater, and the movies here were rented to them by Smallies in Cooperstown. It's interesting because back then, the admission was 25 cents for adults and 10 cents for children.
I came rolling down the hill, down into the Mohawk Valley. Train pulled into Union Station. One passenger was I who chose to stay. I heard drums along the river and banjos ringing in the heights. Singer-songwriters in downtown.
We are in front of the Baptist Church on Main Street here in Hartwick at the Four Corners. Some very interesting trivia about this particular church is this, that when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, bells all over the country rang. When the bell rang here, they rang it so enthusiastically that it was cracked. Another interesting fact about this church is that the front window was dedicated to a local choir master who wrote a very famous hymn. We'll learn more about it as we go inside.
Marcus Wells was an organist and choir director here, and he wrote the song Holy Spirit, Faithful Guide, which evidently at some point in time was very popular and very well known, and a relative of his put the window here in his memory, his honor. Well, it was the first church. It's over 200 years old. This isn't the original building. The original building had box pews and a balcony, and at some point in time it burned down. This building was made 1854. The pastor who started the church, Bostwick, Him and a number of other ministers started the American Bible and Tract Society and printed their materials in Cooperstown. And that society is still up and running. It's still in business, doing what they do, printing Bibles and tracts and things like that. The services today are 9:30 Sunday school and 10:45 is our morning service, and we also meet Wednesday nights at 7.
Across the street from the Baptist Church is a home that was once occupied by Dr. Almay. Now, Dr. Almay's office later was moved from here to the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown, so you can see it as it actually existed way back in the 1860s or 70s, thereabouts. I'm told that in the summer the sidewalk is spectacular with its flowers. It's an old-fashioned slate sidewalk, the kind that I remember from Cornhill in Utica.
It lets me know I'm home. I'm making this very my home. I'm so proud to call it my home. Oh, it's not what you take or give, and it's here I want to live. Yes, I make.
Here's what's hot on the lot at Skinner Auto. This just in. A 2010 Jeep Liberty 4x4, only 5,000 miles with factory certified warranty, only $19,995. One of the many great pre-owned vehicles at Skinner Auto in Richfield Springs.
I, R.A. Dudrak, the Window King, invite you to visit our showroom in Holland Patent, or we'll come to your home by appointment. We've been installing replacement windows for over 45 years. Keep your palace cool in the summer and warm in the winter by adding new windows. Many styles and selections to choose from. Bay, bow, garden, and double hung, single hung, and slider windows. The Window King also introduces color replacement windows. So take a short drive to R.A. Dudrak, Holland Patent, and tell them the Window King sent you.
On display at the Arkell Museum, the works of E. Mark Adams and Beth Van Hosen. Adams hailed from Fort Plain, and the couple were well-known masters of their craft. See the works of Adams and Van Hosen at the Arkell Museum at Canajoharie, Thruway Exit 29. Call Yannick Excavating for all your residential and commercial projects, from new construction and land clearing to septic systems, driveways, basements, ponds, and topsoil. Visit yannickexcavating.com. Spring style begins at the Village Crossing. Discover unique women's attire, jewelry, handbags, and accessories designed to delight. The Village Crossing on the Village Green in Clinton. Shop Shelter for handmade Adirondack furniture designed by craftsman Jim Kiefer. He works with you to create custom pieces to your specifications, from dining room and coffee tables to bookcases, beds, and bunks. Call or visit Shelter on Main Street in Old Forge. Enjoy a delicious pot of fine flavored varietal and herbal teas at the Tea Bar at Trenton Teas, or arrange an afternoon tea in the tea room. Visit TrentonTeas.com to learn about upcoming events or to arrange your own event at Trenton Teas on Elizabeth Street in Utica. The Longaretta Law Firm, protecting your rights and advising you in matters of legal importance. Call for your free consultation, 735-6162. Expecting company? Just call Deansboro Superette. They prepare delicious Middle Eastern platters for any number of guests. Call 841-4377. If you're looking for a beautiful Sunday drive, may we recommend getting lost in the rolling hills of Hartwick. It seems every turn offers another breathtaking view. But be careful if you're using GPS, because ours didn't seem to make any distinction between regular and seasonal roads. Our excuse for being out here is to visit Yankee Machine and Molding Company. Stephen Geyer grew up in his dad's machine shop, and when they're not running the machines for their customers, the gears are still turning with ideas for new inventions.
We've been building molds for about 40 years. My father started it back in 1973, I believe it was, and Basically, as the years progressed, it turned more and more medical, and as things advances, we just kept on going. Built up quite a nice customer log, and here we are. Things like in any business, we have slow periods. So we gathered a group of friends together, and we just started putting out our own products, you know. Yeah, we've done some cat and dog medicators. We've done some horse supplies, and the newest one we've done was a leash for dogs, you know, new kind of concept thing. Yeah, well, you know, I think it's best to stay in one bracket, and we're all animal lovers and activists, so it's easy for us to pop things like that out. You get rolling on one thing, you say, you know what else we could do with a pet, and that's how that leads to the next thing, and we just keep going, so.
Years ago, we had a wire-haired terrier that had this tendency to always run away from home. If we'd had one of these, though, when she was caught, whoever caught her could just take this and bring her home.
The Earl, the easy attachable retractable lead, is a retractable leash that is attached to your dog's collar at all times. So when they're ready to go, so are you. Visit our website to learn more about the Earl.
Take me back. Ooh, let me stay. Ooh, take me back to my childhood dreams of yesterday.
Our travels take us along some more scenic roads to Empire State Forge. When you meet Trey and visit his blacksmith shop, you almost forget it's the 21st century. His forging methods are traditional by choice and preference, and his forging skill by experience.
I originally started working at a museum down in East Meredith called Hanford Mills Museum, and I worked with a blacksmith named Don Avery, and started there. Continued with some of the work with the smiths at the Farmers Museum on my time off, and went to Colonial Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia, and worked down there for several years. Because it is an older trade, appreciation of the older style of working or the pieces themselves. There wasn't ever really a blacksmithing manual of how to make a hook, step one. So you have to look at the original pieces, look for tool marks, and try and reinvent the wheel really on a lot of items. The type of work that I primarily am involved in is 18th and 19th century reproduction ironwork, but I also do modern railings and things like that. So the work varies from working on an interior railing to making a weather vane to a copy of a 18th century spatula. Mostly local people, people who are doing restoration work to their houses. I've done some work for some of the larger camps up in the Adirondacks. People who are redoing their back lawn and want a new railing for their garden patio. So it's very gratifying. The work varies quite a bit. Every hammer blow, even though it looks the same, each one is different. So it's constantly adjusting, fixing, corrections. So it really the work keeps you involved.
For contact information for Empire State Forge, visit our website. We can't offer you links to his website because it seems he hasn't adopted that part of the 21st century, but he does have a phone.
What it is.